Love them or hate them, it doesn't matter what happens in Atlanta this weekend. Alabama's in the college football playoff, and we told you so. Stick around. Let's talk about it. Roll Tide. This is Way Offsides, baby.
3, 2, let's go.
Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Welcome into Way Offsides. I'm smiling. Why am I smiling? I'm smiling because the committee finally did the right thing. Do I agree with their reasoning? Absolutely not. Do I understand that they had to come up with some bogus ridiculousness to move Alabama up to where they should have been in the first place? Sure, I get it. But they definitively got it right. And a lot of people, if you're a Notre Dame fan, a Miami fan, you're going to disagree with what I'm saying. But honestly, I don't care because you can you can say what you want. You can paint the picture whatever color you want, but it's still the truth. What I'm going to say is, at least. Anyway, yeah, we're going to talk about Alabama in the playoff today. Do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bells. Early National Signing Day, just dropped a video on that. A lot of crazy stuff happening around the country with the coaching carousel. You can keep track of it all in one place, and that's right here with us at Way Offside. So subscribe, leave a big Roll Tide in the comment section below. Let me know where you're watching from. Be sure you share with your friends at work this week and your family when they come into town for Christmas this year. Tell them all we're here. I'll be over on Cover Crimson with Clint Lamb either today or tomorrow, so at some point this week, talking some recruiting. So make sure you're locked in over there as well. Let's talk about Alabama. The committee comes out last night, like we kind of predicted. You saw the odds shift drastically for Alabama to make the college football playoff via Vegas, even though ESPN's model said otherwise. That kind of foretold what was coming. Alabama moves up to number 9. They were previously at number 10 in the college football playoff poll. Now, why is that significant, you may ask, for those of you who aren't pollsters like a lot of us who aren't poll nerds, I should say. Maybe we should turn that into a thing, like poll nerds, like hashtag poll nerd. If you're a poll nerd, put hashtag poll nerd in the comment section below. Why is that important? Well, it essentially locks Alabama into the college football playoff. That no matter what happens in Atlanta, we kind of all knew this. There's been a little divisive thinking, but with them putting Alabama initially at number 10 after losing to Oklahoma, it told a story that if Alabama did not win the SEC, they weren't going to make the college football playoff. We all knew that if they went and lost in the Iron Bowl, it wasn't going to happen anyway. But the question became, if they beat Auburn and then lose to Georgia in the SEC championship, what happens with them at number 10? Well, it wasn't a sure thing, I should say. It wasn't a safe bet. And with the way the committee justified it, well, Alabama hasn't run the ball well. It was absolutely ridiculous and egregious. And basically, they didn't want to have to deal with the backlash of putting Alabama in the playoff field. Well, now Alabama takes the decision out of their hands by beating Auburn on the road, and they don't have a choice. Either way, it doesn't matter who gets in, Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama, BYU. There's going to be backlash, right? Here's the thing, and this is a digression point, but we're going to talk about it for a second anyway. If we're going to have the current NIL and transfer portal system that we have, right, where you have all these free moving parts, it's basically free agency. Kids can go play here, play there, get paid, right? They can go all over. And we're spreading out the talent pool, which I'm all for that. I'm absolutely. You get more competitive games. It's more fair to these who they're supposed to be student athletes. It's more fair to them. It's more entertaining for the fan. It's not necessarily great for teams who dominate college football because now you're not beating people 62-0 every week. You've got to go win some close ones. You got to be resilient. But we can't have that and have a small playoff field. There's a reason the playoff field in the NCAA tournament is as big as it is. Right? It's because there's much more parity in college basketball than there is in college football. We're moving to that point. We're moving to that point pretty quickly, I might add. Now, I'm not a proponent of expansion per se, but when you think about it logically, if you don't expand the playoff, good teams are going to get left out every year. Teams that could potentially cause other teams issues. Now, we're not talking about the ones that are elite and favorite to win it all, who actually have a shot at the national title. I think in this pool, there's probably only 3 or 4 teams that do right now. However, as parity continues to grow across the sport, and it's not just Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, it's not just those same schools every year. There's going to be good teams that get left out. There's going to be teams who could compete for a national championship who are going to get left out of the playoff. Just saying. So that's a fact that we all need to get used to now, right? This is why what conference you're in matters. If you're in a conference matters. If you're playing in a championship game matters. Who you beat matters, and who you lose to matters. All right. Notre Dame wants to complain. Well, they got in last year and they lost to what? NIU. Okay. It just didn't pan out for you this well. You didn't have the strength of schedule. Everybody kept telling Notre Dame all season, you don't have the strength of schedule. Miami, same thing, man. Same thing. You rode that Clemson win, and then it turned out Clemson wasn't that good. Sure, Alabama went and lost to FSU in week 1. Sure, they lost to Oklahoma, right? But they beat several teams in the middle who were all ranked, some of which were on the road, including still having probably the best win in the country. So you can't devalue that because of a week 1 game. The losses absolutely matter. That's why Alabama was sitting so close to the bubble, right? That's why they had no wiggle room. That FSU loss mattered. But Alabama did what it needed to do the rest of the season to lock this thing up. Now, what does being number 9 say? What does that say? What's the committee trying to say? Well, it says that as long as Alabama doesn't go lose the SEC championship by 40, they're going to make the college football playoff. Their odds have shot through the roof. They've got like a 93% chance now. And it should. Alabama should, right? Even with the 3rd loss in a championship game, I don't think, unless it is obvious that a team is not a playoff caliber team, I think they should have a shot. This is why I didn't make a huge deal out of Alabama getting left out last year. Not saying that they couldn't have caused some problems for people, but it is what it is. A lot of Georgia fans will make Georgia got left out a couple of years ago because of the SEC championship game. And it was a 14 playoff. It's a little bit different. And again, you have to have further expansion if you want competitive playoff games. As the caveat of that is as the talent disperses more and more, which it is. Right. The SEC in general is a better conference than it was 10 years ago across the board. All right. Don't believe me? Go look at some of these scores from this year. Big Ten's the same way. And it's going to continue to do that when you get the right coaches in there, like Kirk Cignetti at Indiana, and folks want to go play for them. This is why Penn State's freaking out that they haven't hired a coach yet. Either way. All right. I'm still digressing. But yeah, it pretty much locks up Alabama in the college football playoff. The question now becomes is if Alabama beats Georgia for a second time, do they get a bye? I think it's very possible that could happen. The biggest thing here, I think, is you can't lose, by a wide margin, because then you're kind of taking it out of your hands again, or potentially could be. But I think no matter what happens, Alabama's in. I do. It's a good thing. Now, I don't agree with the committee's reasoning, with their rationale behind it. What Hunter Yurachek got on live TV and his dumbass said last night, we really like the 4th and 2 call by Kalen DeBoer. That really gave us the edge to put Alabama. They had to come up with something, right, to justify moving Alabama back up in front of Notre Dame when they knew they made a mistake by putting Notre Dame in front of Alabama in the first place. So that's all that was. Not justifying the dumb response. I'd imagine they could have come up with something better or tried to, but that's what they had. And so, So Alabama's in, man. You know, and I'll be honest. I was one of the ones that when they dropped Bama to 10, that was like, I don't know. It looks like it felt like and looked like they're trying to find a way to leave Alabama out of this thing to make their lives easier. Alabama forced their hand by going to the Iron Bowl and getting a W. So I will say Yurachek did mention the fact that beating Auburn at Auburn, despite their record, is significant. A lot of people outside of the SEC don't understand how significant that actually is. You go back and look at every game Auburn's lost this year, and it's been within a score, right? And so Auburn was a quarterback away from having a decent football team this year. Let's be honest. It's just what it is. It is what it is. Tough year to be an Auburn Tiger, I guess, like most years. Seems like they're always a quarterback away. But it's true. I mean, they defensively one of the best teams in the country. On paper, they have one of the best wide receiving rooms in the country. They super underperformed. Hugh Freeze was definitely part of the problem, but I don't think he was the sole problem. So beating Auburn, even a 5-win Auburn team or a 4-win Auburn team, 5-win Auburn team in Jordan Hare meant something because you look at Georgia, how they performed in that game. You look at Vanderbilt, how they performed in that game. Auburn should have beat Oklahoma. So it absolutely means something that Alabama went in there and got that W. And so I agree with that reasoning. And I think that is more than enough justification for Alabama to be moved in front of Notre Dame, who's not going to play this weekend because they refuse to join a conference. Anyway, all right. Thanks for sticking around with me. It's all I got. A lot more recruiting news, fun stuff coming up. So be sure you're locked in with the channel. If you're not locked in, you're missing out. As always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands. Horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide. See you in the playoff, baby.